This year's show is entitled Metamorph. Metamorph was intended to be a way to acknowledge the 60th anniversary of the Blue Devils and the organization, and finding a way that could, through the use of metaphors, whether it be the path of a caterpillar to a butterfly, or the pathway of what was a drum and bell corps into a global brand, and drum corps itself, how it's evolved over time. It was all about evolution, things that grow, things that change, and that became the genesis of Metamorph. Well, part one of the show is definitely intended to reflect on where drum corps has been in the past, where the Blue Devils have been in the past, and how we've all sort of evolved from there, the old starting line. And then the show progresses across the field and takes on new life with each stop in various places on the field. The ballad portion of the show is really where we are existing in the present, and we are making those changes that hopefully will move us forward. Of course, the title of the ballad, Everything Must Change, alludes to that. It's where we are. It's where we are. We are in a time of change, and we want it to be a hopeful change. So part two of the show is where you get a little more reveal of costuming, more color, and the movement starts to loosen and open itself up, similar to how it's done historically. What I realized early on with part three of the show, which is really nodding to the future, is that there was no way to know. And so the most we could do is take ideas that were brewing in our hearts and in our heads and try to formulate those into a production that gave us a glimpse into what possibilities might be coming at us in the future. Parts of the show and parts of choreography that I've always played with in my head and creatively tried to let brew and sort of go through the incubator are now able to come to life because of the talent of the performers. And this particular vehicle for a show allows the certain types of choreography to come out in the show with the brass players and the percussion and the color guard in ways that I've always dreamed of seeing. The costuming for the corps had to work on the same level of metaphor that the show is working. So we had to be able to reference the past in a very modern way without trying to recreate the past. Very, very important point. Then we wanted to show an evolution of where we are in the present day of the marching arts and pageantry and how things can change and how that can provide in itself an added benefit to motion. So yes, stretch wear and lycra is coming into play more and more. It is, enables performers to move more freely, less restrictions. It shows off their body and their motion and their choreography in different ways. The performance takes on a new life, but we are in the process through metamorphosis of looking at how all those worlds collide into one particular program. Colors in the show range from very traditional Blue Devil colors, even into the spectrum of butterfly-like colors. It gets very, very colorful, and especially by the time we get to the end of the ballad, we're looking at a sort of new way of seeing color on the field. Early on, the diamond became a very important symbol, and not only does it show up through form in the show, but you do hear references to that through vocals. Certainly, the way that a diamond reflects light and produces color within its shape is similar to how a mirror works, and that mirror-like images are often a reflection also, not only of the past, but sometimes you're looking into a mirror and trying to see what could be, what possibilities are there. So the use of mirror in the show could certainly be considered a metaphor for if you're reflecting on the past, living in the change of the present and trying to get a glimpse of the future. I often say to the performers, putting together a program for the Blue Devils, similar to like a diamond though, it starts with a multitude of ideas that throughout the season we focus. And that focus gets sharper and sharper and more crystal-like and clear, so that by the time we're at the end of the season, hopefully we're speaking with clarity.